Hi everyone, I'm Olga, and welcome to my channel, Stories Untold, where you can find intrigue, love secrets, and family dramas. Subscribe to my channel to get new stories every day.
They say money can't buy happiness, but it sure can buy freedom. Or so I thought. I spent my whole life chasing that freedom, dreaming of a quiet life, a paradise far from the concrete jungle. I found it, or at least I thought I did. A warm, breeze, endless sunshine, and a love that promised forever. But some dreams, no matter how beautiful, can turn into the most agonizing nightmares. What if the very person you trusted with your heart, your future, was slowly, meticulously draining everything you had? Stick around, because my story might just make you rethink everything you thought you knew about paradise and partnership. If you find yourself nodding along or your jaw dropping, please hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. The year was 2018. My hair was thinning, my joints ached a little more each morning, and the relentless drizzle of England had finally worn me down. At 62, I'd spent decades in a cubicle, watching the world through a window, saving every penny for one grand escape. My divorce a few years back had left a hollow space, a quiet ache for companionship, but mostly it fueled my desire for a fresh start. My research led me to Southeast Asia, a region painted with vibrant hues and whispered promises of affordable living. Thailand called to me the loudest, specifically Phuket. I landed in Phuket with £250,000 in savings and a comfortable pension of $1,800 a month. My initial plan was simple: find a modest place, soak up the sun, and finally truly relax. The first week was a whirlwind of hotels, tuk-tuks, and the dizzying scent of street food. I quickly found a small furnished condo near Patong Beach. It was nothing fancy, just a cozy space with a balcony overlooking a small sparkling pool. The rent was a steal at 18,000 Thai baht a month, far less than anything back home. I settled in, bought a new TV, some fresh crockery, and applied for my retirement visa. Within a fortnight, with the required 800,000 baht safely in a Thai bank account, I was officially a resident, free to live out my golden years. Life was idyllic. Mornings were for leisurely walks on the beach, afternoons by the pool, and evenings spent chatting with other expats at a relaxed beachfront bar. I wasn't interested in the wild nightlife. I just wanted peace and genuine connection. But as the weeks turned into months, a familiar loneliness began to creep in. Retirement was wonderful, yes, but sharing it with someone, that felt like the missing piece. I knew the dangers of bar scene romances, the stories of heartbreak and empty wallets. So I turned to the internet, hoping to find a companion who genuinely sought the same quiet life I did. I messaged a handful of women on an online dating platform, and then I saw her profile. Her name was Nara, and she was 47. Not a wide-eyed girl looking for a free ride, I thought. Her profile picture showed a kind smile and gentle eyes. She was from a small village outside Nakhon Si Thammarat, a few hours' drive from Phuket. We chatted online for days, then weeks. Her English wasn't perfect, but we managed using translation apps when needed. She seemed genuine, funny, and surprisingly independent. When she suggested we meet, I was wary but intrigued. She offered to travel to Phuket herself, insisting on paying for her own bus ticket and hotel. That detail, more than anything, convinced me she was different. Most women would expect you to fund their entire trip. We met for coffee by the beach. Her smile was even warmer in person, her laughter infectious. We spent a week together, exploring Phuket, sharing meals, and talking for hours about our lives, our dreams. She never once asked for money, never hinted at financial need. I found myself completely captivated. It felt right. Too right, almost. After a week, Nara returned to her village. The condo felt empty without her. We spoke every day, our calls filled with laughter and longing. Then she invited me to visit her. It's not like Phuket, she warned. Very simple, very quiet. The retired life had given me wings, so I booked a flight to Nakhon Si Thammarat. The city was bustling, a stark contrast to my peaceful Phuket haven. I checked into a comfortable hotel, and later that day, Nara met me. Our reunion felt like coming home. We explored the city, ate delicious local food, and I felt our connection, deepening with every shared moment. She told me about her life, a small stall where she sold freshly made desserts, and her responsibilities caring for her aging parents and her 19-year-old son, Jet. I asked to visit her village, her home. She was hesitant, almost uncomfortable. "You won't like it," she said. "It's too rural, nothing like the city." After much gentle persuasion, she finally agreed. We took a half-hour taxi ride out of the city. The landscape transformed, paved roads giving way to dirt tracks, modern buildings replaced by humble, unpainted concrete homes. Her house was simple, plastered but unpainted, with a corrugated tin roof and flimsy wooden doors. My first thought was how loud the rain must sound during monsoon season, but her family welcomed me with warmth and open arms, sharing stories and homemade food. I saw a different side of Nara here, a woman deeply rooted in her community, caring for her loved ones. It wasn't the lavish life I was used to, but there was an honesty, a raw beauty to it that strangely appealed to me. As my week in Nakhon Sithamarat drew to a close, I couldn't bear the thought of saying goodbye. On a whim, on our last night as we walked along the river, I heard myself ask, "Nara, will you marry me?" Her eyes widened, then filled with a radiant joy. "Yes," she whispered, her voice trembling. It had been barely 2 months, but my heart told me this was it. This was forever. We flew back to Phuket together, then traveled to her village to share the news with her family. They were overjoyed. We settled on a wedding date a month away, after consulting local customs for the luckiest day. I agreed to cover the wedding expenses, but to my pleasant surprise, they didn't ask for any traditional dowry. This solidified my belief in her sincerity. I went to Bangkok for a few days to sort out the legal paperwork with the embassy, and when I returned, we had a beautiful village ceremony, followed by the official registration at the district office. Just like that, I was a married man again. It felt incredible, a new chapter, a fresh beginning. Our only unspoken detail was where we'd live. I was perfectly happy splitting our time between my Phuket condo and her quiet village. Nara, however, found the village too slow, too limiting after a taste of Phuket. She suggested we live in my condo in Phuket for a while, just to start. The agreement was that she would stop selling desserts, and I would provide enough to support her family, a modest 10,000 baht a month. I gladly accepted. It was a small price to pay for my wife to be with me, free from work. Life in Phuket with Nara was blissful. We spent our days exploring, relaxing on the beach and simply enjoying each other's company. I still had plenty of savings, and my pension easily covered our expenses. This, I thought, was how it was meant to be. The quiet life in Phuket was wonderful, but after a few months Nara started to get restless. Maybe it was boredom, maybe it was a desire for something more, but she began talking about building our own place in her village. "It would be good for the future for Jet," she'd say, her eyes gleaming with an idea. "We don't need to keep renting." The thought of a small home in her peaceful village, a place we could truly call our own, started to appeal to me. I was charmed by the slower pace of life there, the genuine warmth of the people. We visited her family and they were ecstatic at the idea. Her father even offered a small plot of land that had been in their family for generations. As a foreigner, I couldn't legally own land in Thailand, so the house would have to be in Nara's name. "It will always be our home, my love," she promised, her hand in mine, and I trusted her completely. She estimated the cost for a modest, comfortable house at around 900,000 baht. It seemed manageable, and I was happy to dip into my savings for something that would be ours. We hired a local builder, and construction began almost immediately. Looking back, I see how reckless I was, swept up in the romance of it all. I was so happy, so in love, that I ignored the little voice of caution in my head. The first hint of trouble came when the builder presented the first bill. The 900,000 baht Nara had quoted was only for the basic materials. It didn't include labor or finishes like tiles and paint, let alone furniture or appliances. My stomach dropped. We had already started though, so I agreed to continue. By the time it was finished, the house had cost a staggering 2.2 million baht, over double the initial estimate. I tried to tell myself it was just a lesson learned, a small price for our dream home. I still had plenty of savings after all. Oh, and then there was the 700,000 baht I spent on a small swimming pool next to the house. She said it would be so nice for the hot days. Foolish, I know, but I wanted her to be happy. During construction, Nara suggested we needed a car. It's so much easier living in the village with a car, she explained. So another 1.4 million baht went on a brand new pickup truck. It had to be in her name, of course, for legal reasons. The realization that I had spent nearly $100,000 of my savings hit me hard. I tried to reassure myself that living in the rural area would save us money in the long run. For a few months after the house was finished, life seemed good, but I felt a subtle shift. The carefree freedom I once enjoyed had been replaced by a quiet anxiety. I felt a little trapped, a little less secure. I should have drawn a line in the sand then, told her no more spending, but I couldn't bring myself to upset her. Then one day she approached me with a once-in-a-lifetime business idea. She wanted to start a mushroom farm. It would only take 180,000 baht to set up the growing houses and buy the initial spawn. I felt uneasy handing over the money, but Nara was so incredibly enthusiastic, so convinced it would be a huge success. So I gave it to her. The mushroom farm lasted less than a month. One careless mistake, a contamination, and all the mushroom beds were ruined. All 180,000 baht gone. I was furious, truly angry for the first time. Nara seemed utterly nonchalant about it, shrugging it off with a casual, "Oh, never mind, darling. It was only a little bit of money." That casual dismissal, her lack of concern for such a significant loss, chilled me to the bone. I vowed it would never happen again, but she just didn't seem to care as much as I did. Despite my anger, life went on. We took a trip to Koh Lanta, and the beauty of the island temporarily smoothed things over. But I was still on guard, and Nara, ever so subtly, started talking about a new venture: shrimp farming. "My friend, she made so much money with shrimp," Nara said, her eyes wide with possibility. My immediate reaction was a firm no, but my refusal seemed to deflate her, her usual cheerfulness replaced by a quiet sadness. I wanted the happy Nara, back the woman who brightened my days. So against my better judgment, I agreed to look into it when we returned home. It was a classic manipulation, a subtle twist of the knife, and I walked right into it. Back home, I tried to avoid the topic, but Nara kept bringing it up. "Only 250,000 baht, she'd say, for the ponds and the baby shrimp. We can pay someone 400 baht a day to look after them." I did the calculations, tried to rationalize it, and finally, foolishly, gave in. We built the ponds, bought the shrimp, and hired a local caretaker. For a while, things seemed to be going well. The shrimp grew and I started to feel a flicker of hope. But when it came time to sell them, the market had crashed. We lost almost 2,000 baht per kilogram, not even covering the cost of the ponds. "Oh, never mind, darling," Nara said. "Once again, we can try something else." By this point, these business ventures had cost me nearly 500,000 baht. I blamed myself for my weakness, for not standing firm. Worse news came soon after. We'd had the pickup truck for about 14 months when I got a frantic call from Nara. "Accident, the car is badly damaged." My heart pounded. "Are you okay?" I asked, racing on my motorbike to the scene. She had somehow driven the truck into a tree. It was a complete write-off. My mind immediately went to the insurance. "We have insurance, right?" I asked, relief flooding me. "We'll get a new one." But then her face fell. The 25,000 baht I had given her to renew the insurance. "People here don't pay for expensive insurance," she mumbled. My blood ran cold. She hadn't renewed it. 1.4 million baht, gone in an instant. We managed to salvage a few 100,000 baht from the damaged vehicle, but the majority was simply gone. I was furious, a white-hot rage I hadn't felt in years. Nara could see it in my eyes. Her casual disregard, her sheer incompetence had just cost us a fortune. I knew I should have handled the insurance myself, but living in the village, we desperately needed a car. The inconvenience was unbearable. So I ended up buying another one, a smaller hatchback for 750,000 baht. Nara didn't like it as much, but she knew it was her fault, so she didn't complain. Do you remember my $250,000 in savings? They had now dwindled to just $95,000. I felt a growing sense of panic, a constant knot in my stomach. My income was still the same, but the financial security I cherished was rapidly eroding. All that money could have bought me another condo in Phuket, or allowed me to live a much more lavish life. To make matters worse, Nara and I were constantly at odds. She still seemed fixated on these business ideas, unable or unwilling to grasp that we had enough income to live comfortably without them. Perhaps she wanted to prove herself, or perhaps, as I would later realize, there was a deeper, more sinister motive. Around this time, we received sad news. Her father passed away. This tragedy, ironically, brought us closer for a brief period. The funeral cost me 120,000 baht, an expense I was prepared for from the beginning. I didn't want to pay it, but I did. During this time, I learned that Nara had inherited about 6 rai of land from her father, used for growing rice. I cautiously suggested selling a portion of it to recoup some of my losses, but she looked appalled. "We don't sell family land," she exclaimed. "What we can do is improve the land and grow something else, something that makes more money than rice." We were getting along so well then, it was as if I forgot all the previous failed ventures. She proposed growing chilies. Only half the land was suitable, she explained, as the other half was too low-lying. We'd need an irrigation system for the dry season and some greenhouses. I trusted her. One final venture, I told myself. I invested another 350,000 baht. Everything seemed to be going well with the chili farm. Month after month, our 3 rai of chilies thrived under the hot sun. It felt like finally something was going to work. Then one day we went to the farm, and all the irrigation pipes were gone, stolen. Without the irrigation, the chilies would die, and we would lose all the money. And that, tragically, is exactly what happened. Nara was devastated, but I was beyond anger. That, combined with the funeral costs, was another $12,000 gone. By this time, a chilling realization was beginning to dawn on me. This cycle would continue until I was completely bled dry. I sat Nara down, my voice firm despite the tremor in my hands. "Nara, I love you, but I'm not doing any more business ventures here, nothing, not a single baht. Please do not ask me again, because I cannot afford to lose any more money." Nara reluctantly promised, saying we would be happy with what we had, and she wouldn't ask again. A few months passed and things seemed to improve. We went on another holiday, this time to Krabi, and for a while we were truly happy again. Then a storm hit, and a massive tree fell on our house, crushing a significant portion of the roof and walls. The repairs would cost 350,000 baht. 350,000. I didn't want to spend the money, but what choice did I have? The house was unlivable, so another chunk of my dwindling savings disappeared. My savings now stood at a terrifying $60,000, nearly $200,000 gone in just a few years. It was absolutely insane. The weeks that followed were filled with a gnawing sense of regret. I felt like such a fool, constantly replaying all my terrible decisions. My resentment towards Nara grew with each passing day. During one particularly heated argument, my frustration boiled over. "How did you expect to do anything before you met me?" I snapped, my voice laced with bitterness. "You lived in a shack with nothing. How did you expect to be good at business?" Her eyes flashed with anger. "I am clever," she retorted. "I just had no money to do anything. Now I have almost no money because of you." "Because of me?" I scoffed. "Everything you tried failed. But you won't let me try anything properly." "I have a better idea," she said, her voice dropping, almost conspiratorial. "But I haven't even asked you yet." I should have let it go. I should have walked away. But a morbid curiosity, a desperate hope that she might actually have a good idea, forced the words out of me. "What is it? What are you planning?" "I want to buy a tractor," she said, her voice gaining enthusiasm. "It will only cost 600,000 baht, but we can make around 2,500 baht a day from it, renting it out to other farmers. I have no idea why, but the idea sounded appealing. If it was always in use and we could actually make that much money daily, it would be a steady income. I actually considered it, so she bought one. And on we went. A few weeks later, I asked her, "How much are you making?" "It's so good," she beamed. "Nearly 2,500 baht per day." "Where's the money?" I asked, my skepticism returning. "They haven't paid yet," she explained, as if it were the most normal thing. "They only pay when they sell their crops." My jaw dropped. "So you're telling me people are using our tractor, adding to the wear and tear and not paying up front?" "Yes," she said, completely oblivious to my growing horror. When it came time for them to pay, about half didn't, claiming they had no money. And of course no one took proper care of it. Another one of her ideas had cost me even more money, and I had truly, absolutely had enough. "What do you expect me to do?" I asked, my voice dangerously calm. "You've wasted even more money and it hasn't worked." "I am trying," she cried. But it was a pathetic defense. It became painfully clear to me then. Her businesses weren't about making money. They were about appearances. Oh, she has a new car. Oh, she has a tractor. That's what she cared about, the social currency, the image in the village, not the crushing financial burden on me. I was so angry, so utterly disgusted with her, and with myself for allowing it to happen, that I finally said it. "I'm leaving. I want a divorce. You've ruined my life." She didn't even seem shocked or sad. Her expression was cold, almost triumphant. "You have to pay me to divorce or I won't sign." "Don't sign," I said, the words barely a whisper. And I left. I've been living in a small, quiet room in Chiang Mai ever since. My savings are now a meager $45,000. My pension covers a reasonable life, but the constant ache of loss of what I threw away is always there. Over $200,000 gone, evaporated into thin air. I could have bought a beautiful villa, invested in something truly secure, or simply lived a life of unburdened luxury. Instead, it was used to fund a charade, to enrich a woman who saw me only as a limitless source of funds. Sometimes I replay those early days in Phuket, the sheer joy, the sense of liberation. It all feels like a dream, a hazy mirage. What was I thinking? Why was I so naive, so blinded by the desire for connection? I should have never agreed to build that house, never invested in her ill-fated ventures. We had a good life before that. A simple, peaceful life in Phuket. But as soon as I agreed to build our home, everything, absolutely everything, went wrong. The biggest lesson I learned? Trust is a fragile thing, easily shattered. And sometimes the most beautiful dreams can hide the most painful deceptions.